Isagi Yoichi in the Neo Egoist League is nothing short of an absolute menace. You might even call him psychopathic. Now, allow me to preface all of this by saying, I don't mean psychopath in the conventionally negative context. There's just some very odd tendencies to Isagi's character, but I just wanted to dive into the new mentality that has been blossoming within Jinpachi Ego's Neo Egoist League, specifically in how it pertains to Isagi Yoichi. In this analysis, I'll be covering the 4 main matches in the Neo Egoist League, the Barca, City, Ubers, and PSG matches, highlighting the key character points in each match and why and how it matters. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and watch till the end of the video if you can. Coming into the Neo Egoist League, Isagi had just done the unthinkable, scoring the winning goal for Blue Lock in their match against the Under-20 Japan team. He then went on to declare that he would lead Japan to glory at the next Under-20 World Cup, drawing massive attention from everyone around the globe. Now, in this Neo Egoist League setting, Jinpachi Ego is broadcasting the entire match around the world with full-on TV show coverage of their lives. Isagi is a fan favorite, but at the same time, has drawn the ire of many other sportsmen. After choosing to go to Germany and play for Noel Noah's team Bayern, and I'll be using the real names, I don't want to say Bastard Mukin or anything like that, I'm going to say Bayern, Isagi is unable to crack the first 11 and holds the bench for the first match against Barca. This Barca match accomplished a few important things for Isagi. Number 1, it exposed the physical and mental gap between Isagi and the semi-professionals. The intensity was beyond his understanding at the time. His weapon was not independent enough to survive on a field filled with players who did not want to pass to him. His speed of thought, reaction, and understanding of the game was lacking. He made numerous mistakes, losing the ball, getting his shot blocked, and interfering in Noah's one-on-one battle with Lavinho. It was clear that on his current level, he was never going to be able to score. So, in order to still leave his imprint on the match, he decided to assist a goal. One of the prevailing subplots of the Neo Egoist League team of Bayern is that Ego wanted to bring an element of reality into the team. When you join a soccer club, especially one that already has a superstar, or better yet, multiple superstars, you have to decide how you're going to fit in and how you're going to make yourself indispensable. You could choose one superstar or the other and tailor your game to benefiting them so the coach doesn't drop you. Or, if you think you're good enough, you could become a superstar of the team and have others bend to your will. It's a decision every professional has to make. And on this team, Michael Kaiser is the leading man. He is their superstar, and all the other players play for him. So from Isagi's perspective, there's no one to play his little 1-2 with, no one to cross to him, no one willing to assist him. That made it practically impossible to score a conventional goal. So instead, Isagi decided to assist someone else. But there's a catch. Goading Kaiser into assuming that he was going to pass to him, Isagi instead chose Kunigami, his former friend, now turned Super Emo, and Kunigami got the winning goal. In this first match, Isagi became aware of his shortcomings and adapted to live in order to fight another day. He was in no way comfortable passing to another striker, but he had no choice. He needed to survive to make it to the next match. So let's talk about that next match. The second match in the Neo Egoist League was against England's Manchester City, home to our old buddies Nagi and Rayo. In this match, a lot of Isagi's past issues are still prevalent, and to make matters worse, all his peers have ascended to new levels. Rayo has intense physicality and managed to produce expert copies of Sai's dribbling and Rin's outside of the foot shot. Luckily, Gagamaru saved it. Nagi has leveled up with his increased physicality and his trapping skills, and Shigeri developed an effective formula to produce goals called the 44-degree Panther Snipe that puts City up 1. Kaiser responds with his Kaiser Impact to equalize the game. Right now, Isagi is being left in the dust, but here's one thing that Isagi does that changes everything for him. Isagi decides to watch and observe Kaiser's movements. He notices that Kaiser is constantly scanning and turning his head to input more information. Players on this level already have a baseline greater perception of space than your average player, but Kaiser and others like him are constantly turning their heads and scanning around to input new information into their mind, giving them somewhat of a third-dimensional view of the field. This ability Isagi then learns is called metavision. Kaiser's formula for scoring goals is using his metavision to get into the right positions and then utilizing his unique ability called the Kaiser Impact to score goals. Isagi has used metavision subconsciously at different times in the past, but never deliberately. If he could use it for the entire 90 minutes, he could figure out many new ways to impact the game. Kaiser, who had been teasing Isagi since he stepped foot into the Neo Egoist League, finally gets a taste of what Blue Lock fans sometimes call Slursagi, telling Kaiser that, "Thank you. All I can see now is the hope of crushing you." Isagi then implements metavision. He begins to input all kinds of key field information into his mind, predicting what's going to happen before it does, reading and anticipating the game many steps before things happen. He then intercepts the ball as it's coming to Nagi and runs off with it, smiling as he does. Now, luckily for Isagi, another Blue Lock player called Kurona is in the first 11, and Kurona has no problem allying himself with Isagi. So, Isagi starts to coordinate with Kurona. He uses Kunigami as a lure, pretending to pass to him, and then fakes a shot into a pass to Kurona. In that split second, he makes his way into the open space and demands the ball. He receives the ball, prepares to fire off his direct shot when Kaiser comes to stop him, welcoming him into his dimension. This flusters Isagi, who now has an obstacle in his path. He ultimately decides to fire the ball anyway, and rifles a shot between Kaiser's legs. The ball is headed towards goal when out of nowhere, Kunigami barges in and scores a spectacular goal, stealing Isagi's goal 2-1 to Manchester City. Isagi is furious because he didn't want the assist, he wanted the goal. But seated on the sidelines watching is Noah, who understands Isagi's anger but tells him that he's come onto a path that could lead Isagi right to him. Play is about to be restarted and Isagi is already exhausted. It takes a lot of energy to keep metavision engaged, and the insane thing is that people like Itoshi Sai have it on for the full 90 minutes, showing how great he is. Play then resumes and Isagi uses metavision to steal the ball, but he clashes with Kaiser again, who was also using his metavision to find the weak point. Nagi responds to buy-in by tapping into another one of his crazy abilities called the 5-fold revolutionary feint volley, equalizing the match. At this juncture, Chris Prince joins the game and Noah also joins to keep things fair. He goads Kaiser into a one-on-one contest and eventually Chris gets the ball in a goal scoring position, using his signature move, which is basically a knuckleball technique. The ball swerves in midair and Gagamaru doesn't know which direction to dive in. Luckily, Isagi comes in and tells Gagamaru to jump down. Isagi is then able to block Chris Prince's shot, much to his surprise. Isagi has devoured the world's number 2. It's now my time. All the people watching online are going ballistic right now, watching this ascent of Isagi Yoichi. Isagi gets the ball and wants to counterattack when Yukimiya Kenyu steals the ball away from him. Yukimiya is one of the Blue Lock members who doesn't want to accept Isagi as the team's ace. He does not want to buckle to either king, so he takes the ball and shoots, citing that God only gives you trials that you can overcome. The ball is about to go in when Chris Prince with his stand, I'm not joking, his stand, comes in and clears the ball, before staring back at Yukimiya and telling him, "No way." This almost shatters Yukimiya on sight. Isagi then goes to Yukimiya and asks him to help Isagi score a goal. He explains that no one is expecting them to work together, and so if they do, Yukimiya will at least get an assist and Isagi a goal. Now obviously Yukimiya is like, hell no, why should I assist you so you take all the glory? I will live and die by my goals. Isagi tries to explain that, dude, Noah, Chris, Kaiser, and I are here. You're not gonna make this on your own. Teaming with me is your best option. But Yukimiya cuts him off and accuses Isagi of being just like Kaiser. You're just thinking of yourself. If only shrewd bastards like you get rewarded, then this world is messed up. Isagi then enters his Slursagi mode and tells Yukimiya, keep dreaming all alone while you drown in your sinking ship. Now just to be clear, Isagi is in the wrong here. He's asking another player to give up their dream of scoring to help him achieve his dream of scoring. It's quite manipulative and psychopathic if you ask me. The saving grace here, though, is that Isagi realizes that he's being naive and realizes that everyone on the field has their own sense of being the protagonist of their own stories. He was asking another person to be the side character in his story, and of course they said no. What he needs to do is understand what each egoist has as their sense of protagonism and add that to his metavision in order to dominate this match. Ryo and Nagi combine, and Nagi's about to score a goal when Isagi comes in at the last second to steal the ball. He understood that Ryo's sense of protagonism was to pass to Nagi and then tracked that to save the ball. So he gets the ball and heads towards the goal, but he can't see a path to victory. The obstacles are too great. He has the ideas in his head, but his physical abilities aren't good enough. At that point, Noa, the best striker in the world, comes to Isagi's aid and allies himself with him. Now, Isagi can see numerous options, but Noa advises him to choose what he desires most right now, and that is to crush Kaiser. Isagi, Noa, and Corona charge forward. Isagi dribbles past a sliding Shigiri, and the moment he does so, Nagi tries to steal the ball, but Isagi passes it off to Corona. He then has to evade the defender, and just then Yukimiya, who's trying to shadow Isagi, he appears, intending to beat Isagi to the goal scoring location. But Isagi, anticipating that, dummies and goes in the opposite direction. Corona then passes the ball towards Isagi. Chris Prince tries to intercept the ball, but Noa shields him and creates a pathway for the ball to come to Isagi. Isagi is now through on goal and ready to shoot, when yet again, Kaiser barges into Isagi from behind, throwing off his balance. Isagi can no longer use his direct shot, but that's okay. Kaiser being here is perfect. He wanted to be the hero, but since you're here, Isagi then backheels the ball to none other than Yukimiya Kenyu, who was left drowning in darkness. Isagi's challenge was to defeat Kaiser, so even if he doesn't score, this is okay. He then grabs Kaiser by the jersey and tells him, "How does it feel to be the clown of my story?" Kaiser's just stunned. Isagi then beckons Yukimiya. "This is it. This is your chance. You wanted to crush me. You wanted to kill me, right? Then score." Yukimiya then pours his everything into this last kick. Isagi was the one who found him, the one who gave him the chance, the one who reached out to him as he was drowning in his sinking ship amidst the darkness, and he uses his ultimate ability, the sword screw, and he scores. Bayern Munich wins 3-2. Isagi now has, 3 assists in the Neo Egoist League? Yeah. After the match, Isagi and Yukimiya make up and apologize to each other. Isagi challenges Yukimiya to keep chasing his dream. "Don't become someone who can fit into my logic. They don't have to be buddy-buddies. The relationship they have is good enough." Isagi then collapses after using all of his energy, ending this match. So, in this battle between Bayern and Manchester City, Isagi learns metavision and protagonism. By using metavision, he's able to scan, read, analyze, and predict almost all facets of the field. Combining that with protagonism, his sense of identity, and desire to win, he's able to not only enter the flow more easily, but he's able to predict other players' movements and choices by understanding their sense of protagonism. Isagi wakes up later in Noa's room, which always struck me as super weird, because why isn't he in his own room or a hospital room, but whatever. Isagi speaks to Noa, explaining his new method of playing football, and also gets the updated ranking. He's now ranked number 4 in Blue Lock, and ranked number 1 is the Kingu, Barou Shoei. Bayern vs Ubers is next. During the training and the build-up to the next match, Isagi feels like he's missing something still. One more piece to really make everything click into form. He decides to go see Kunigami, and he comes up with a new idea. It's now the battle between Isagi and Barou. The two have their usual banter when they see each other. Basically, Isagi and Barou just say sus things to each other. Barou is talking about drooling and devouring and all of his other sus stuff. But after properly training, Isagi can now use metavision at 100% right from the start. We are introduced to another one of Sai's peers called Lorenzo, the Ace Eater. Pause. The match starts and Lorenzo gets the ball and passes it through to a charging Barou when Isagi intercepts the ball. "Nice work, new king," he says. Isagi then triggers the counter, dashing down the field. He passes to Corona and then gets into a goal-scoring position. He's about to shoot when Ness, Kaiser's lackey, comes in to stop Isagi. He understands that Isagi can only shoot his direct shot with his right foot, so if he blocks with his right side, Isagi won't be able to score. Isagi then takes a firm step on the ground, telling Ness that this would have worked on the old him. He then proceeds to shoot his direct shot with his left foot. Isagi finally scores his first goal of the Neo Egoist League. The game restarts and Isagi loses the ball when he's pressed by like 4 players. Ubers counter and they flood the area around the box. Kagamaru is trying to locate the ball when he realizes he can't even see it. Barou then takes a shot using his new technique called the stealth kill shot. He scores and then turns to the others. "Good work. Offer it up to me, Ubers." Barou's new move essentially involves him watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike using his Predator Eye, which is essentially Metavision, just tailor-made to Barou. We actually come to find that Nico can also use Metavision, and it's an ability any pro worth their salt can use. It's not whether or not you have Metavision, it's how you use it. Nico uses it to defend, Barou uses it to attack, and Isagi has his own way of using his eye. Now, as all of these things are happening, Kaiser has been man-marked by Lorenzo, making it difficult for him to break free, but he's finally able to shake him off and attacks a ball. As the ball is coming to him, Aryujube knocks off his balance, turning Kaiser backwards and in midair. But Kaiser shakes him off and then does a mid-air bicycle Kaiser impact kick that scores. Michael Kaiser may be a prick, but this man is supremely talented. 2-1 to Bayern Munich. At this juncture, the coach of Ubers, Mark Snuffy, joins the battle and Noel Noah is forced to join as well. On the bench, silently watching, is Hiyori, who wants to join Isagi in this match. The match resumes and Isagi uses his Metavision to anticipate a pass, but before he can intercept, Mark Snuffy gets the ball, commanding Isagi's usage of his eyes. Noel Noah comes in to press, but Snuffy passes the ball to Barou, who shoots it, but it's deflected by a combination of Kaiser and Isagi. The ball then goes out of play when Isagi decides to change plans. He runs over to Raichi and asks him if he's ready to die. Now the plan is for Raichi to dedicate all of his energy into covering Snuffy, but not too close. Just stay within a 2-meter radius so his options at a time are limited. What Isagi is doing here is utilizing his understanding of protagonism to control the field. He didn't just walk up to Raichi and ask him to do something just because. He specifically framed it to highlight how it would benefit Raichi. If Raichi succeeds in limiting the play of an actual World 5 level player, everyone would take notice of him and that will improve his transfer offer. Raichi agrees and Isagi is able to use Metavision to intercept the ball, but the moment Isagi gets the ball, Oliver IQ steals it off from him and passes it to Barou, who shoots at an awaiting Gakamaru, who confidently saves this shot. The play proceeds and Isagi makes his way to the front lines, expecting a quick 1-2, but instead of the ball being played to feet, it was lobbed, and that delay caused it to be headed clear by Snuffy. Isagi needs someone who can see the field like he does, someone who can understand his decision making. Isagi doesn't give up though. He resets and observes Barou as he's about to take a shot, and just then, Isagi lunges in to clear it. But Barou saw this coming and evades Isagi, throwing away the usual pattern of the Ubers offense. He then turns to Snuffy and tells him that if he had listened and followed the plan, the ball would have just been cleared. Barou then abandons playing for the team and returns to playing his own brand of football. The entire team resonates around Barou and charges forward. Isagi and Kaiser both appear before Barou, attempting to thwart his path to goal, but Barou, in his kingly defiance, takes a powerful shot through the legs of both Isagi and Kaiser, a double nutmeg. The ball is headed toward Noel Noah and Snuffy, and Barou screams that they get out of his way. Snuffy acknowledges Barou and his powerful shot pierces the net. Goal. 2-2. Now, there's everything left to play for. The star member switch ends and Noel Noah intends to go off and replace himself with Kiora, but Isagi asks that Noel Noah chooses Hiyori. If they add another player who can read the game as fast as Isagi can, they can speed up their offensive play and increase their chances of scoring a winning goal. Hiyori and Isagi then take the field, and Isagi quickly asks him if he knows what was wrong with the last pass he got from Yukimiya. Hiyori immediately knows that if Isagi had gotten the ball to feet, he would have scored. They are on the same page. Yet again, Isagi's fire inspires those around him to want to do better than they currently are. As the play is about to resume, Noah and Snuffy talk about how impressed they are with their respective proteges. They believe Japan might have a chance at the World Cup with players like Barou and Isagi. So, the play resumes. Hiyori impacts the play, gets the ball, passes to Isagi, who flicks the ball over his head and intends to use his left direct shot, but when he's about to, Kaiser appears and they both strike the ball together. Kaiser impact X direct shot. Barou and Ryujube both come in to block the shot and it's deflected, but it falls to Hiyori, who accepts his striker instinct and shoots the ball. He doesn't score, but Hiyori's ego to shoot and score for himself led Isagi to a new epiphany, the key to victory. So, Hiyori made that shot, he thinks he's done, but Isagi comes running to him and tells him, "One more time, don't look, don't think, go beyond, act reflexively." Play proceeds for a while and the ball ends up with Hiyori again, who wants to pass to Isagi, but Isagi's just standing there, surrounded by the defenders. Hiyori is wondering why Isagi isn't moving or trying to get open, and Isagi's just waiting for Hiyori to catch on. Hiyori then begins his attack motion and Isagi begins to resonate. Isagi then turns around and isn't even looking at Hiyori, who isn't looking at Isagi either. Isagi knew where the blind spot of the field was. He had to trust that Hiyori saw it too. Hiyori made the gamble that if Isagi is as good as he's supposed to be, if he can read the field like he's supposed to, he will be at the blind spot when I play this ball. The two resonate without looking at each other, and Hiyori plays the pass. Isagi then powers through and appears at the critical point and unleashes a powerful direct shot right at goal. His attempt pierces the net as the two meet each other beyond their dreams. Game over, Bayern Munich 3, Ubers 2. In this match, what you find is that Isagi has learned to implement the new skills he's picked up since the last one. He's able to use metavision from the first minute of the game. He's able to use his understanding of protagonism to draw out the best plays from his teammates, and he has a dual-footed direct shot that allows him to shoot from either side. A truly remarkable player at this point. Waiting for him next though is Itoshi Rin, who just beat Manchester City 3-1. The new rankings come out and Barou dropped to 3rd, Isagi to 2nd, and Rin reigns as the #1 player in Blue Lock. The team watches Rin's match against Barca of Spain, and at the end of the match, Loki decides that PSG will put out an all-out lineup of both Rin and Shido to counter the lineup of Isagi and Kaiser. Ego then comes in to give a talk to the Blue Lock players on the Bayern squad. He talks about this concept of originality. Everyone here has been put into an environment where they've had to choose who it is they want to be and what it is they want and can achieve. In other words, their hunger. The ones who can keep fighting, chasing that hunger, overcoming adversity, and constantly adapting, those are the ones he calls professionals. It's now game day, PSG versus Bayern. It's the final matchup to decide who wins the Neo Egoist League. When the teams meet each other, Isagi goes over to talk to Rin, and their rivalry is as hot as ever. Right now, for Rin, he doesn't care about #1. He cares about the moment where Isagi is reduced to shreds. The game begins and sparks fly almost immediately, with each team countering each other. Everyone watching at home is losing their minds. This is well and truly the final matchup of the Neo Egoist League, and every player on this stage is more than ready for the moment. Some moments pass and Rin tees up to shoot, but Isagi and Kaiser pounce on this moment and try to thwart Rin, but he was ready for Isagi and shoots. Luckily, Hiyori blocks the shot and tells Rin to come up with a better script. Play resumes and Charlotte Chevalier, after commending Isagi on his eye usage, plays an incredible pass to Shido Ryusei, who scores with a flying header, Robin van Persie style, giving PSG the lead. Hiyori and Isagi take a moment to analyze what they've learned so far, and this is a key point to understanding what Blue Lock is trying to say. Hunger holds the key to your originality. That is to say, what you desire. That gives you a hint as to what your goal should be, and setting yourself a goal that challenges you but is still attainable leads you to flow. Once you're in flow, you're able to set an ultimate challenge for yourself, which leads you to your peak performance as a player. That is the formula that Ego has been trying to teach his players, but all of that has to do with one player. If you want to impact the game to a greater level, you need to string together the peak performances of multiple players. Noah helps his players out by telling them to recreate the resonance they had in the last game. He tells Kunigami to man-mark Shidoryusei, and Kunigami has to face off against the man who plunged him into darkness. So, the plan is laid out. This new trio of Kunigami, Hiyori, and Isagi will have to find a way to resonate and surpass Charles and Shido. Isagi then dives into quite an interesting concept: the different kinds of ego that exist in the world. You have those that are built to ignore their surroundings in pursuit of personal pleasure, and those who try to understand the world and their surroundings to determine the true essence. In other words, the self-style ego that says, "Look at me," and the world-style ego that says, "Look at the goal I scored." Neither is good or bad. It's just different ways of looking at the world. The self-styles are focused inward. They don't care much about the outside perception so long as they are satisfying what is important to them, whereas the world-style egoists care about prioritizing the value to the world. It's a perspective that is relative to the outside world. Their emotions are secondary. They will adapt and change as necessary in order to become the valuable thing that the world sees as special. Think of players like Bachira, Barou, Nagi. These are all self-style egoists. And then think of Hiyori, Ryo, Isagi. Those are world-style egoists. Isagi believes that if he can understand what category each player falls into, he can combine that with his protagonism piece and have more pieces to work with when influencing the game. The game continues and Shido is about to be given the ball when Kunigami charges in and deflects it. Kunigami's challenge lies in defeating Shidoryusei, while Hiyori's challenge lies in overcoming Charles. Kunigami showcases immense determination in his marking of Shido, while Hiyori analyzing Charles Chevalier, who he claims feels like the boss in a super hard video game. Isagi observes how hard Kunigami is working covering Shido, and it's clear that Kunigami's personal feelings of revenge towards Shido is pushing his skills to their absolute limit. He too is a self-style egoist. He used to live by his code, and even though he's changed, that heroic mindset still lives deep within him, still alive. Isagi then decides to nurture that and use it to his advantage. Running to Kunigami and reminding him of the past Isagi gave him before, he tells him, "Let's eat steak together again," lighting a greater fire within Kunigami. Isagi is now betting on a triple flow chemical reaction to lead him to success. Charles shakes off his marker and sends a crazy pass towards goal, but just in a nick of time, Hiyori pierces through and deflects the ball. He retrieves the ball but is immediately pounced upon by multiple players. But Hiyori is unfazed by this. He takes a firm step and laces a pass right through the three of them towards the danger area without looking, believing that if Isagi is worth anything, he should be there. That is the first resonance. As expected, Isagi is charging towards the ball, but Shido tries to intercept him when Isagi then ducks and goes the opposite way. He knew that Shido would try to intercept the pass, and he also knew that Kunigami would be there, and he was. Jumping into the air, Kunigami comes back to pay Isagi back for the steak pass. Now we're even. Kunigami heads the ball down as Isagi charges past the defenders. That there is the second resonance. Isagi is ready to take the chance when Rin comes in from nowhere, ready to steal the ball, but it's not just him. Kaiser also lunges in expecting to steal the ball from both of them. Isagi now has an important choice to make. Shoot? Trap? Left leg? Right leg? No. Right here and right now, he'll do something completely new and go beyond. He feints with his left foot and everyone expects him to trap with his right leg, but instead he shoots. That right there is the third resonance, and the triple resonance is complete. The powerful shot soars past the goalkeeper and right into the net. The two-gun direct volley. Isagi scores and we're tied. PSG 1, Bayern Munich 1. Rin and Kaiser let out a scream of utter frustration as Isagi managed to overcome them both. Now, Isagi has a left or right mid-air shot that he can use from either side. He can feint for either leg and now has an extremely deadly weapon. Noa Noa sees this and makes a substitution. Since Isagi is dominating the match, he'll have the team play through him. Corona joins the game, leaving Kaiser with only Ness to help him. Isagi now has a golden opportunity to dominate Kaiser and stamp his name as the best player on the field. There's a lot to play for now, and he's ready to do just that. Now, obviously, Kaiser's not going to take that without a fight. He steals the ball off his teammates and coordinates with Ness to use a new technique of his called the Kaiser Impact Magnus Effect. In the perfect scenario, the ball is stationary, and he kicks it with the outside of his foot, which allows the ball to curve rapidly. In this situation, the ball isn't stationary, but he tries it anyway. He shoots, but he misses completely and screams in frustration. Michael Kaiser is unraveling. Play resumes, and Kaiser steals the ball again. He wants to shoot, but he doubts himself, and Rin immediately snatches the ball off him as Kaiser falls to the ground. Isagi, knowing that Kaiser's mental state is on the periphery right now, takes the opportunity to mentally destroy him completely. This team isn't yours anymore. Kneel to me, you shitty clown. Slursagi says that and runs off as Kaiser is seething with anger. Isagi right now is trying to break Kaiser and force him to submit. The reason Isagi's doing this, by the way, is that he believes Kaiser is a world-style egoist. World-style egoists are not supposed to be too fixated on themselves, but rather the value they can give to the world. So, by slurring Kaiser, he wants Kaiser to fixate on him to make Kaiser easier to read. Now, this isn't a Kaiser analysis video, so I won't go into the details here. Just know that Kaiser is forced to face some dark truths about himself and his life, and he returns to zero, breaking himself down fully and finding that which was so important to him from the very beginning. Isagi is pressed by Rin, so he quickly passes the ball off to Hiyori, but Kaiser intercepts this and steals the ball. He then charges forward as Ness asks for a pass, but instead of giving the ball to Ness, he passes to Raichi, makes a run, turns back to Raichi and says, "Please." Raichi sees this admission by Kaiser and decides to help him. He passes back and Kaiser charges forward. Here in this moment, Kaiser is now not fixated on Isagi like Isagi planned. Kaiser is fixated on something else, and so Isagi alters his assumptions to try to take back control of the field. What I do want to highlight though, is that Isagi is not looking down on Kaiser for this. On the contrary, Isagi respects the fact that Kaiser threw his pride away. Rin manages to steal the ball off Kaiser, but there is a change within the team of Bayern Munich. With Isagi assuming the dominant role in the match and Kaiser now having to play second striker, coupled with the fact that Kaiser is now passing to people other than Ness, the entirety of Bayern Munich is functioning as one. They're incredibly more dangerous. Isagi realizes this and understands that Kaiser is trying to overthrow him, so he lays down the challenge: your awakening or my absolute monarchy. Corona loses the ball to Kaiser, and this time, Kaiser passes the ball to Kunigami. Kunigami is being pressed by Shido, so he has no choice but to pass it back to Kaiser. Isagi then realizes that Kaiser's is a world-style egoist like himself and plays with the same mindset as him. Kaiser is then pinched in by both Rin and Karasu and loses the ball, but it lands before Hiyori, who resonates with Isagi. He sends a through ball in, but Isagi dummies and leaves the ball. Corona then takes the ball and sends in a cross towards Isagi, but just then, Charles Chevalier comes back into the game after leaving due to losing interest and clears the ball, but the cleared ball falls luckily to Ness. Kaiser tries to see a path to goal, but he can't, so he dummies the ball as well and the ball falls to Kyoto. Immediately, both Kaiser and Isagi start charging towards the goal mouth, expecting to pass. Kyoto now has to make a choice: Isagi or Kaiser. Who will he ally with? Now, Isagi is a little further ahead in the box and Kaiser has to run past Kyoto towards the box. Kyoto then makes his choice. He sends a wickedly curving ball through towards the goal. It goes past Kaiser and Isagi expects it to come to him, but the moment the ball hits the ground, it bounces backwards towards Kaiser and stops. Kyoto chose Kaiser. Now, this is an extremely lucky situation for Kaiser right now. because with the ball stopped, he can use his ultimate move. With everything he has left within him, and all the conviction left in his heart, Kaiser strikes the ball right and true with a Kaiser Impact Magnus. The ball spins rapidly and curves away right into the net. Kaiser scores and celebrates as Isagi, stunned, just calls him a superstar. In the aftermath, Isagi analyzes what just happened and improved his understanding of the field. There are two kinds of egos, but within that, there are two subsections embedded within it as well. There is the world style and the self style. You can have the freedom substyle or the restriction substyle. So think of like a Shida or a Bachira has a self style, but specifically a freedom self style. That is, they focus on themselves, but they focus on themselves within the context of being free. On the other hand, you have a Kunigami or a Barou who also focus on themselves, but they thrive in the restrictions they set on themselves. On the other hand, you have a Hiyori or an Isagi with a freedom world style that wants to have no inhibitions and limitations, whereas you have a Kaiser that is also world style, but thrives in restriction. Kaiser challenges Isagi for the throne of being the world's best, and Isagi rightly accepts. 2-1 to Bayern. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably thought to yourself, bro, what the heck is Rin doing? Nothing. That's what, he's doing nothing. Well, Kaneshiro heard you, and Rin now very violently throws himself into the forge. The two face up against each other, but Isagi holds his own. His dribbling has gotten way better over the last matches. He passes the ball to Corona, who plays the 1-2 back to Isagi. Isagi receives the ball, gives it up again, and then uses Kaiser to confuse the defenses and runs into space. He's expecting Corona to return the pass when Rin tackles Corona and steals the ball. Isagi then matches up with Rin as he charges towards the goal mouth. Rin then comes to a realization of his own, learning that his ego wasn't destructive enough. For Rin, it's about life-risking destruction. The game continues fiercely until Rin gets a chance to score a goal, but instead of shooting, he stops the ball, seeing a phantom of Itoshi Sae, and then he passes the ball back to Charles Chevalier, challenging him to stake his life on the line. Rin then asks if any of these players have risked their lives for soccer. He's doing that again. From Rin's perspective in this match right now, he's chasing a Sae phantom. He's seeking something, someone beyond Itoshi Sae who can give him a reason to have these destructive urges. Isagi cannot logically analyze Rin, and Rin nutmegs him, leaving Isagi fall into the ground. This obviously angers Isagi, who gets up and runs after Rin, citing his own unique ability as an adaptability genius. Rin sends the ball to Charles and tells him to bear his soul out. No more cowardly passes. Charles responds by sending in a Rabona cross. Shido Ryusei appears, ready to pounce on Charles's cross, and at the same time, an Itoshi Sae phantom appears before Rin before revealing itself to be Isagi Yoichi. He claims to be ready to put his life on the line. Isagi then dashes, trying to block Rin's shot course, but Rin's destructive impulses take over and he shoots while getting clattered by Isagi. The shot warps around until it pierces the net. Goal. 2-2. The realization then hits Isagi that all of this time, this was the first moment that Rin truly recognized his own talent. What happened to Isagi all the way back in the first episodes of Blue Lock, that's what just happened to Rin now. Just then, Julian Loki grabs Rin by the shirt and commends him. He now wants to play. Noah, as always, also prepares to enter in order to keep things fair. Rin then tells Isagi that he's happy he chose him as his rival. Hate me. It just makes me stronger. You have a duty to try to kill me until you die. For the record, and this isn't deliberate by Rin, but he's doing to Isagi what Isagi did to Kaiser. He recognizes Isagi's volatility right now and twisted that proverbial knife. Isagi gets angered by this and makes it his mission to score the final goal. We're approaching the climax right now, so hold on to your seats. Isagi gets the ball, but immediately Loki flash stabs, I'm not kidding, he flash stabs and steals the ball off him. His movements almost look like they're warping space, it's crazy. Loki then blitzes past the defenders using a move he calls God Warp. He then passes the ball to Rin, who's about to shoot, when Igarashi foul baits and gets awarded a free kick. Noah retrieves the ball and is pressed by Charles and Shido. He passes to Kaiser, and Isagi tries to get involved, but Noah uses Isagi as bait and passes it back to Kaiser. He then says that the reason he joined the Neo Egoist League was so he could awaken Kaiser's ego. He wants a rival who poses a threat to him, and that is why he's here. So he just used Isagi as a tool to get Kaiser to be better. Right now, Isagi is a stepping stone to get the others to be the real heroes. Noah is fouled and gets a free kick, which he hands off to Kaiser, telling him to score. Isagi right now is seething with anger at this as Kaiser prepares to shoot. Isagi analyzes Kaiser's options, hoping to stop him from scoring and steal the goal, and he gambles. But Kaiser chose the opposite end to Isagi's choice, and his shot curved from the left side all the way to the right side. Now, get this. This one is a little bit ridiculous, but get this. In that moment, Julian low-key ran after Kaiser had taken the shot, makes up the distance, and blocks the shot. That is just nuts. Isagi then runs to Noah when the game restarts, asking for some insight, but he gets rebuffed by Noah, who tells him to bring him a winning theory. I feel nothing from you right now. And so Noah rejects Isagi. This rejection allows Isagi to understand the geniuses he's surrounded by. They aren't logical. They live however they want and naturally become the center of the soccer world. Isagi Yoichi is no genius. He's just someone who learns really fast, something Isagi dubs a talented learner. All this time, he's managed to survive by learning quickly, adapting, and analyzing faster than everyone else in order to get ahead. That was good enough before, but now, he stands on the field with Itoshi Rin, Shido Ryusei, Noah, Julian Loki, and he can't keep up. It doesn't matter how smart he is, he will never be able to replicate Loki's God Warp speed. He can't learn Noah's ambidextrous playstyle. On this grand stage, in front of the world, he can't imagine himself winning, and tears begin to stream down his face. In his office, Ego watches Isagi and wants him to take heart. Only those who have reached the wall of the talented can discover a new path forward. So now, it's time for some biology. I hope you guys brought your notebooks, and if you hate biology, too bad. Blue Lock goes biology. Okay. The formula for evolution. All organisms are born after receiving half of their mother and father's genes, but there are times where during those copying processes, an error occurs. A child is born with a trait that neither parent possessed. In most cases, the child is singled out for not being able to compete with the others and culled. He never passes on his genes. But there are times when this copying error leads to an advantage that makes them more suitable to their environment. This then allows them to be the new standard, and eventually, all the organisms evolve to having that new feature until the birth of another mutation leads to yet another characteristic that comes to define normality. Ego is simply applying this concept to soccer. Every now and then, there are players who are born with a trait that others lack, a way of looking at things differently, a unique ability or unique idea. And the people with those seeds of change are what Ego calls geniuses. But those geniuses alone are only half of the formula. They often are not able to translate the unique traits that they possess into a message that can be reasoned and understood by the masses. They need somebody else to see the greatness in them, to assess its worth, and to communicate it into the world. By boosting it and making it reproducible in some way, that then becomes the new world standard. The individuals who do that are what Ego calls talented learners. The mutants' geniuses with abnormal qualities become singularity points, and those that analyze them form new tactics to counter or replicate it in some way. That is how soccer has evolved. The world just doesn't revolve around geniuses. They share the stage with talented learners who spur them along. There is no hierarchy. They're both essential parts of the equation that spurs football on. A talented learner has his own path to becoming the best in the world. When Julian Loki speeds past Isagi, he sees Kaiser scream out in anger at God, and this shows Isagi that Kaiser is also a talented learner. He's not a genius like Noah and the others. It takes some time, but Isagi is able to come to the same conclusion Io did. He understands the value of being a talented learner and its role in spurring geniuses on. You can't fight the same way they fight. You have to do something else. So he asks himself, how is Kaiser able to hold his own against these geniuses? Kaiser became effective when he dropped his fixation on Isagi and started applying himself logically. So, Isagi needs to drop his own fixations. There's a rivalry with Rin, his malice with Kaiser, and his admiration for Noah. When you drop away all your selfish fixations, what are you left with? The memories flood back into Isagi's mind and he remembers. He just wanted to win. Isagi mentally pushes himself into a new stratosphere and intercepts Rin, and then he challenges him. If you're going to be a genius of a monster, I will be a talented learner monster myself. You want to obliterate me to win, isn't that right, Rin? The two then charge towards each other, with clashing depictions of light and dark. Isagi lunges in to steal the ball, and Rin just shoots the ball past him. He thinks he's won when he realizes Isagi's real play. Kaiser comes in with a double talented learner chemical reaction and blocks the shot. The ball ricochets off the post and is about to go in when Gagamaru deflects it off the goal line. They succeeded in stopping Rin's attack at the very final moment. In the aftermath, Isagi analyzed what he just did. He put aside his fixations on Kaiser and only tried to block Rin's shot, believing that Kaiser, who saw the field as good as he did, would be there to block the shot. Essentially, Isagi is throwing away his personal feelings about anything and everything in order to achieve absolute victory by any means necessary. Rin then speaks to Isagi and berates him for enjoying blocking his shot, but Isagi rebuffs him. You're the tepid one, Rin. That wasn't just some measly shot. The whole world wanted a goal from you. They were waiting for the birth of a new hero in the Egoist League, and I tore that away from you and crushed it. I bent history to my will, and my logic surpassed your inspiration. I proved that a talented learner can defeat a genius. I've never felt such pleasure in my life. The star member change timer ends and the elites have to leave the field. Loki starts acting all high-strung and he talks down on Japan. Isagi then in response turns to Loki and tells him to shut up. You're the one who lost. Kaiser and I smashed it apart. Be a man and admit that you lost. You're awfully full of yourself for someone who just happened to be born fast. This ticks off Loki, and Noah has to hold Isagi back, but Isagi shrugs him off and takes hold of his arm. You're just like him. You used me as a tool to get Kaiser to awaken. I don't trust you anymore. Isagi then squeezes Noah's arm and steps right in his face. I'll bring a theory to surpass you. So you just keep waiting at the top, Noah. The next World Cup is mine. Noah accepts the challenge as everyone across the world loses their flippin' mind. Isagi just declared war on the best player in the world right in front of everyone. Abandon all pride and useless sentiment. Isagi, believing this ideal, comes up with an even greater, crazier idea. He walks over and tells Kaiser, let's team up. You and I can end this Neo Egoist League together. Kaiser's very obviously shocked by this, but Isagi's dead serious. At this current rate, we'll never beat these geniuses. I can't stop Rin on my own anymore. The only way we win is by teaming up and combining our high-level logic. Rather than my personal feelings, I want to prove myself to the world just like you. I'll throw away my emotions to win and use all of my talents as tools. Kaiser then asks Isagi how they'll choose who scores the final goal. Isagi decides that they should do things fairly. We'll go with whatever is the most logical path to victory. In other words, luck. After we make the best passes that logic allows, whoever has the ball at the last moment will score. But to do that, any personal feelings and emotions have to be discarded. We would have to abandon our egos and become machines built to win. That's the only way guys like us can beat guys like them. Their objectives align, and so they decide to make a devil's contract to overcome the geniuses. Michael Kaiser and Isagi Yoichi officially team up and decide to work together. The game restarts with Rin having the ball as we race towards the climax of the match. It's time for the birth of a new hero. Isagi marks Rin, who decides to crash into him and then find the space to shoot, but Kaiser comes in and tackles the ball away, and the new duo immediately counterattack. Kaiser dribbles past on Tetsu as Isagi evades his defender. They pass the ball between each other and the PSG defenders can barely react in time. Isagi and Kaiser understand each other's playstyle incredibly well. Kaiser then dummies the ball and gives it to Hiyori, who remarks that with Isagi and Kaiser working together, the entire Bayern team has become activated. Onlookers online are enjoying the new duo as they continue to charge forward. Raichi passes to Hiyori, who picks his pass. He strikes the ball towards Isagi. Isagi feints into his two-gun volley, but Karasu comes in and blocks the shot. The ball then falls to Kaiser, who uses his Kaiser impact shots, but Charles Chevalier blocks with a diving header. They too are talented learners just like Isagi and Kaiser. If Bayern is gonna win, they need to devise a winning strategy that goes beyond anything they've ever done before. Rin then gets the ball and Shido react. He says that if the opposing team's aces are working together, then they should too. Let's team up, Rin. PSG then start playing together as well, and Shido passes the ball to Rin, who's about to shoot. But before he does, Isagi and Kaiser both tackle him and block the shot. Just like Isagi and Kaiser can't just decide to do what geniuses can do, Rin and Shido can't just decide to do what talented learners can do. Keep playing crazy, you damned geniuses. You'll never outsmart us. Football's most critical moment is dangerously close. Now, while Noah makes a substitution and gets Yukimiya Kenyu into the game, Igagure, on the other hand, sits down. Kagamaru punts the ball forward and Yukimiya gets the ball. He then uses Isagi's movements as a bluff to speed dribble past his defenders, and he creates the space he needs and shoots, but Charles comes in to deflect it. The ball flicks into the air, and in a split second, Isagi assesses the situation and passes the ball to Ness before dashing goalward. Ness unfortunately is not ready for the pass and isn't fully focused. He gets the ball stolen by Karasu, and it's obvious to everyone on the field that he can't keep up with the intensity that's happening right now. His head is in the wrong space. Kaiser then tells Ness to give up on soccer as Isagi death stares right into his soul. Ness's conviction is broken as Kaiser walks to Isagi, indicating that he and Yoichi are innovating and that they don't want any uncreative traditionalist pigs. The game resumes and Kaiser gets surrounded by defenders without an obvious passing route. Isagi then loses his marker and coordinates with Kaiser, who uses his Kaiser impact to cross the ball to Isagi. Isagi body feints Rin, who's marking him, and is about to get the ball when Rin reacts and deflects it. Rin then says he's going to stick within 4 meters of Isagi from now on. He intends to break this Kaiser-Isagi duo completely. PSG get the ball to Rin, who's still tussling with Isagi, but Kaiser recognizes that Isagi can't physically compete with Rin, so he comes charging in. Isagi's eyes light up as he compliments Kaiser on being the best. Kaiser then crashes into Rin. Now, Rin expects to be able to physically overpower Kaiser, but when it comes to physical contact, Kaiser's been through even more than Rin. He rotates in midair and knocks the ball away. Isagi right now is just marveling at Kaiser's talent. Yukimiya gets the ball and dribbles past 2 defenders, and then 3, and then 4, and just when he's about to be overwhelmed by the press, he passes to Hiyori, who goes past 2 defenders of his own. Everyone is drawing out their absolute best play as we approach football's most critical moment. As Isagi is charging towards the goal mouth, he realizes that the best thing a talented learner has is the awareness that is faster than everyone else's. He doesn't have their crazy sensitivity, but he can intellectually process things faster than anyone else. And so if he makes a decision faster than anyone, then that will lead him towards achieving full victory. As Hiyori is about to pass the ball, Karasu appears to stop him. While Hiyori is facing off with Karasu, Kaiser comes up with his own plan. Rin doesn't want to leave Isagi unmarked, but Kaiser understands that their connection is the key to winning. So, he will put himself in a relatively similar position to Isagi and force Rin to choose. Whoever Rin doesn't choose is who luck chooses, and that will be the goal scorer. Hiyori passes the ball goalward and Rin chooses Isagi, leaving Kaiser open, but Shido Ryusei decides to choose Kaiser if Rin chooses Isagi. He then heads the ball away towards Charles, who's about to trigger the counter. But before he can trap the ball, Kunigami, who's been keeping an eye on Shido, flies in with a diving header and knocks the ball away. The ball, with its own cruel or maybe benevolent stroke of luck, falls to the feet of Alexis Ness. Now, Ness must choose. What will he do? Is he going to shoot or pass? Kaiser wants Ness to pass, and Ness makes a conviction onto himself. Up until now, he's made passes that made it easy for Kaiser to shoot. So now, he's going to rebel. He's going to challenge Kaiser. If you're the best in the world, then come steal it. He strikes the ball with a drive pass, believing that if Kaiser is indeed as good as Ness has believed him to be, he'll be at the critical point to score. A silhouette of Kaiser dashes past Shido and Rin, and Ness is happy to see him, until he realizes that it's not Kaiser, it's Isagi. Ness did not intend to pass to Isagi. Isagi just got to the critical moment faster than anyone else by believing that Ness would evolve. Isagi's understanding of protagonism and ego allowed him to anticipate this faster than anyone else on the field. Rin is shocked, and Kaiser angrily calls out Ness's name as Isagi arrives at football's most critical moment, controlling hope and despair, the Neo Egoist. He takes a powerful shot with every bit of conviction left within him. The ball soars towards the goal, a culmination of all of Isagi's faults, failings, and evolution, and he scores. Goal. Isagi Yoichi, Blue Lock's Demon King. Bayern Munich 3, PSG 2. Bayern wins the Neo Egoist League without losing a single match. As Kaiser tries to analyze the anatomy of the goal Isagi scored, Isagi walks over to him to explain. Isagi saw Ness as nothing more than another tool, but Kaiser saw Ness as worthless, which then made Ness special, just in a bad way. That clouded his judgment, delayed his reaction, and lost him the chance to score. You couldn't turn yourself into a goal machine. You gave in to emotion, and that's why you lost. Our 1-goal contract is over, so thanks for that, my ultimate clown. Kaiser knocks Isagi's hands away as Isagi turns to leave. He's won this war. The final bidding is then completed. Isagi's final chance to see what it's like to stand atop the world. The screen then shows Rin's name with a bid of 240 million, the #1 player in Blue Lock. Angrily, Isagi believes he still can't defeat Rin when Rin stands next to him, beckoning him to take a look again at the screen. The world wants them to be rivals, because just like Rin is at #1 with 240, there is another one tied with him, also at 240. His name is Isagi Yoichi. Beating his chest, Isagi finally experiences the pleasure of being #1, and the feeling is ecstatic and overwhelmingly addictive. If I keep chasing this ecstasy, the world's best will be right around the corner. And there you have it. Blue Lock's Neo Egoist League ends with Isagi reigning as #1. So, what can I say about this? To me, this is one of Blue Lock's greatest arcs, and quite frankly, it's made me such a huge fan of Isagi Yoichi as a character. People look down on Blue Lock, they look down on the writing, they think it's just a bunch of edgelord nonsense. The individuals who do that do not understand the greatness that is lying before them. There is some very deep psychological messaging within the world of Blue Lock, many lessons about the good and the bad side of competition, the good and the bad side of geniuses, of the psychology of what it means to be the best. And Isagi Yoichi is a different person than he was before. The ability to disassociate his emotions from himself and to see himself as nothing more than a tool for success is a devastatingly difficult thing to do. Michael Kaiser is an extremely talented player, and even he could not disassociate enough to win this game. That split second of him still seeing Ness as worthless, instead of viewing Ness as simply another tool and seeing him for the good player that he is, regardless of his own shortcomings, is the reason why Isagi won and Kaiser lost. This has been an extremely long video, and so if you made it this far, I want to tell you thank you. And if you're a fan of Blue Lock, you are in the right place because I'm going to bring you some more Blue Lock content in the future. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Rebirth video. This is your boy, signing out until the next video. Peace out.